Welcome to the Empower Hour podcast. I am Amber, your host. My guest is also Amber, so I paused there for a second. But the purpose of this podcast is to inspire women to embrace their inner voice and speak their truth. We are continuing a series called Embody Your Most Courageous Self, and you will hear from 8 amazing women on how they embodied their courage and their power. Today's guest is a powerful woman who went from struggling with unworthiness, living her entire life for other people by people pleasing, dealing with self-hatred, panic, and fear, to realizing what self-love really means and finding the courage to finally do what she wants and becoming the CEO of Stargazer Strategies. She learned how to love her fears and trauma and believes they come into our life for a reason. They are the gold that we can find in life. And now she's a songwriter, an author, a leader, and a Ho'oponopono practitioner and Reiki master. Not only all of this, but she has a chapter in the new book, Jaguar Medicine. And I am so excited for you to read her chapter. It's called Knock Knock, Who's There? You. So please welcome my Jaguar sister, Amber Wright.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, Amber.
I'm so excited to have you here. I know we've been on a journey together a little bit. We've known each other for a few years through
Yeah.
business things, and to have you in the book and get to know you from that aspect has been so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a journey being in the book. Like that entire chapter, that whole process, talk about empowerment. I mean, going from not becoming a published author in itself, like, is a huge step, but to be able to do it with you and with that group of women that we were, a part of, and all of that support was really incredible. Like, it was really, really, when you're able to be your authentic self and like step out of that comfort zone, it was really great. So yeah.
I agree. It is empowering, it's activating, and to have the support of these women has been amazing. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab a
absolutely.
crystal. Sorry. My eyes are doing funny. I am seeing like geometric shapes. Like, Amber, I don't know what you're doing to me. I'm just kidding. I know you. No,
We're
I'm
doing
just.
codes now.
And so I'm having trouble like focusing, I guess. I'm seeing this shape like spin with some interesting colors. Anyway, it's really cool and I could just zone out on that, but I'm trying to be very present. So I'm going to
It's
hold
just
my
here to
crystal.
help us. It's okay.
It's true. Yes, yes. Oh man. So, when we chatted the other day, we you had a quote that you shared with me. Actually, you shared it more recently, but I love the quote that you gave me today, and it was infinite peace produces immediate results. Can you just share why that quote speaks to you so much?
Yeah. So the first time that I heard that, I had to listen to it. It was actually on TikTok. I was just with my kids sitting there kind of scrolling through like cat videos, and it came up as a quote. And I stopped and I re-listened to it over and over and over again, just chills going up and down my spine. And now it's like something that I think about almost every day. And when you asked me about it to begin with, I don't even know why I had like a blank. I couldn't think of what quote really is something that hits me. And that one does, because what it means to me is we all have sort of this idea of what the outcome should be of any of our action, of any of our desires. Like, we want this bright, shiny, whatever it is. And we're so impatient that we're sort of clawing our way to it. And the moment that you realize that you are everything and everywhere at the same time, that's in the universal perspective, um, it becomes really easy to say, I trust that that will happen for me in divine timing, that as long as I can clear the way without blocking myself with
Mm.
beliefs and clawing my way to it, that reality can be a part of it, and infinite possibilities are available to me. So when that's like infinite patience, like, I can be completely patient in this knowing right now that all is well and everything is in perfect order. Just like a plant that, a seed that you plant isn't like, I need to be a flower right now. It just knows that it's going to be a flower. And so in that knowing, all of nature sort of happens on its own to bring that into fruition.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good lesson to have with ourselves, having patience with our journey and our life, and that things come into life to sometimes to slow us down and to bring more wisdom. And I know that, like you said, a seed doesn't say I need to be a flower tomorrow, but I think we do that to ourselves so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to accomplish this today. I need to be that right now. Or I mean, just down to the very simple tasks of, I get a bill in the mail, I need to pay it. Like it starts to get on your mind, and it's like, it's all in divine timing. It's all done. It's done. As soon as you have desired or decided that that's what you prefer to experience, it's already done. And that's kind of that quote resonated so deeply with me, because that's sort of my mission. I feel like is to share that um, on that level with other entrepreneurs, and helping them get to that point where they realize, like, whatever that business is has a reality that is in a higher frequency that you can see from a higher perspective. And yeah, so that was yeah, it's good stuff.
Absolutely. I know with you and I were in a year-long business program together a few years ago, and I
Yeah.
remember feeling that in that program, like my business was new, and I feel like through that program there was something like so many people were so far ahead of us. They had established businesses and they were just rocking it and making money, and I felt like I was trying to catch up and really, like, I wanted it now. I wanted my business to be established, and what she was doing that took her 10 years is going to take me a week or a day or whatever it may
Right.
be, and really pressuring myself. And I put myself in a stressful, overwhelmed, anxious situation by not being patient. And now today, what I've learned from that is that when I start something, I allow myself more time. I say, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to get this done tomorrow or in a few days, I'm giving myself months or even a year. And if it gets done sooner, woohoo, like I will
Mhm.
celebrate. But I don't
Yeah.
have that as much anxiety and stress of, well, this should have been done yesterday, sort of thing.
Yeah. The wonderful thing about that is too is when you sort of release the outcome and you just say, this is the desire that I want, or whatever outcome I desire is there, but I don't need it to be right now. I know that it's already done. And all I need to do is just faith is a tricky word, because I feel like a lot of people, there's that religious, for me, I grew up in, Christian academy and when I was younger, and church and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it brings a different, the faith word has a lot around it, so it's like almost like I want to use a different word, but I don't know what it is. Like trust maybe, but trust in yourself, that it's okay for you to want that. It's okay for me to desire that thing, and that as soon as I completely release the need to make it happen, the beautiful thing is it starts happening on its own, and then I start getting inspired, and then of course you need to take the inspired action to keep it going and keep the momentum coming, which is a whole nother conversation. Right? but
Yeah.
um but it that's where that patience comes in, and I'm so, like, I say it, but I mean every single day I'm like, why isn't this happening yet? Like I've got stuff happening in another business that I'm just like, this needs to be happening. I have planned all of this. Here's the structure. Okay, universe, here's the day. Like, why is this not happening by this date? And I have to remind myself, like, it's okay. Like, stop freaking out. And then I'm fine, and it's all my state of being anyway. Like I'm just the one choosing how I'm experiencing how this is playing out. And as soon as I let it go, it just goes, oh, here's all the puzzle pieces, and here's your puzzle. It's complete now. I'm like, oh my God, that was so easy. Why didn't I do that to begin with?
Yes, the flow and
Yeah.
the surrendering to the flow and allowing the universe to meet us halfway, because I've seen so many people who either A, think the universe is just going to do all the work for them, or B, they What was B? I'm so sorry. What was my
It's just
either
A. It's just A.
just A, I guess. But there was more to it. Or I guess the opposite of that would be to stepping forward in inspired action, as you mentioned, and allowing the universe to meet us halfway, and then surrendering to where the universe wants to meet us and allowing the puzzle to
Right.
put itself together.
Yeah, because the puzzle may not look like you thought it was going to look after it comes together, which is another thing that I think we do is it's like, no, 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 no. This isn't what I ordered. Like, you're not at McDonald's. Like, here, I want this and this and this. Don't go there. Okay, guys, like, gross. Anyway, but you don't get it, right? Like, that's okay. What you ended up getting instead of this crappy McDonald's food that you thought you wanted is like a gourmet meal that is exactly what your body needs that day.
Absolutely. Yes. It's so true. And I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to have that gourmet meal because we think all we deserve is McDonald's
Yeah.
or all we're worthy of is McDonald's. So really receiving that when it comes to you. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, receiving it's simple, but and so profound to get into that mode of reception. But for some reason, we really put up a lot of blocks to make that possible. And we take all of these, I mean, I've same thing, taken inspired action, I'm in flow or whatever, you get to these opportunities start coming your way and you've been in flow and you've done the work and you're like, I'm ready to go. And then something presents itself and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, no, actually, that's not good for me. I'm gonna put that down because I'm like here and that's up here and I just don't feel like I feel like if I take that I'm gonna bring it all down with me. And so what if I do? You know, like that's the thing. You're gonna fail and fail and fail, and nobody got anywhere by just succeeding. Like I've failed a million times in business. I've failed a million times. If I've succeeded once, that means something, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that like you said, like there's wisdom in the so-called failing. I mean,
Yeah.
now I look at it as a lesson or an experience that just brings me more knowledge that I can use of okay, don't do it that way, or I learned something from it on how to do it a little differently and make it a little bit easier or that sort of a thing. But also celebrating the victories, even the little ones, like okay, I vacuumed today and it was on my checklist, and that is a victory to mark off that chore or whatever it may be. The little things in life and celebrating ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that because it really it is a kind of a paradigm shift to think of failure in a way that is and that's part of the work that I do is looking at these things that seem like failure. Like I have completely screwed this up. It did not go the way that I planned it. XYZ happened and now I don't know what to do. And it's like, well, but now I do know what to do. I just don't know consciously. And that's where the teaching comes in and the learning for ourselves, right? Like I feel like we learn as we teach, like, and I just aligning to what you have created through that challenge or that experience that has made you realize, actually, I kind of want to do this instead, or I like this other thing. Um, yeah. You
Yeah,
know, maybe you never knew that you wanted the gourmet food until you had the McDonald's.
that's so true. Sometimes knowing what you don't want shows you what you actually do want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of how that's how expansion works. You know, you figure out your preferences as you live and you know, that's how you end up getting access to those higher codes, those that you've talked about, I believe, in your chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of you know, the higher, how do I say this that it would make sense, like the higher frequency, you know, the better version of whatever it is you're experiencing already exists right now, the second that you're experiencing and disliking it and going, okay, I screwed this up. But yeah, actually, I'm gonna quote Elon Musk, because there is something that he said that really hit me, and again was one of those, like, I wrote it down. I really studied what it meant to me. And it was, his company was losing millions of dollars a day in the this, I don't remember the name of it, but the aerospace, where he's doing the rockets and stuff.
Oh yeah, SpaceX
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, SpaceX. And so his company was losing millions of dollars a day, or maybe it was even in the billions. It was ridiculous. And they were arguing, him and his like staff. There was like a small group of them arguing, and he was like, we need to appreciate that we are losing this money every day. And I knew what he meant by that. Like, I was like, oh, whoa, wait, like, that's really it. Like, because his desire was so big. He wanted to launch a rocket. And how much money do you need to launch a rocket? Yeah. Millions and millions and millions and millions. So in order for that reality to actually exist for him, he had to experience lacking it and not being able to, like, I feel like that's kind of that gold. You experience that, like, hardcore rock bottom of something, and that's what propels you forward. And in those moments, if you can shift that and say, thank you for this. Thank you for this horrible experience that I don't ever want to experience again. We just kind of, yeah. And then you take it and you shift the paradigm and you flip it's just a magnetic switch from positive to negative or negative to positive. You switch your perspective and then you call that in. And I believe that's what he meant when he was arguing with them, that no, this is just we need to appreciate that we are losing this money every day.
That is powerful, and could totally change our world, where our life becomes more enjoyable by just looking at it a little differently and appreciating all of the experiences that come to us. It's not always going to be fun, and we have to walk through it, and there's a process, but in the end, we can see that there is something good that can come from it, and it can propel us forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm having a really weird experience right now.
Sorry.
I feel like it's part of what you're saying though, and I feel like you have so much wisdom in this area. So I hope you don't mind, but I'm just gonna go with the flow. Like, this is happening. I'm totally, like, still seeing this shape. It's just growing. But what, like, as you were talking, what was coming to me is, when I decided to take inspired action and do this podcast and invite all these powerful women to speak with me, it was a little bit intimidating. Like, just opening myself up to have a conversation, but also to invite these women that that inspire me and encourage me, and being able to hold a conversation for an hour and be able to do that was a bit intimidating to me. And I was talking to you, and I once I said okay to it and I was really moving forward with it, my throat started to hurt and stuff. And you said to me, do you remember what you said exactly?
I think I said something about, because that's what my chapter is about, a little piece of my chapter is about that throat chakra clearing. And that as that happens, you're starting to become more of who you really are. And that there's like a blockage there that's saying, oh, no, actually, I'm going to manifest something that's going to keep you from, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. That there was possibly a part of me that didn't feel ready for this. And so therefore, my subconscious may create something, a sore throat, getting sick, whatever it may be, to hold me back from and prevent me from doing it. Thankfully, I said lots of mantras and I was like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. And I feel better today, and I'm able to be here and yesterday and speak to 8 of you. And then coming on this call, and I mean, you're my last interview, so you're my 8th one, and everything's gone great. And then I hit go when I come on with you, and I can hardly see and read. I'm like trying to keep it together and not show that I'm experiencing that, but I'm actually having a really, like, it's really kind of cool.
That's awesome. And there's probably a lot of buildup too. I mean, you've had this sort of influx of all of these different energies, and everybody's like kind of focused on the same thing here, like it's really wonderful, and congratulations for going forward and doing this collaboration. I'm inspired. Like I launched Stargazer Strategies. I've been working on it for a long time and have been working with like people through that, but not publicly. And last night, because we had this podcast today, I went live on my page, and I was like, that's it. It's out. Like, I'm done. I'm out of the closet, guys. Like, we're doing this. Because it's terrifying. It's terrifying to step out. And then when you do, it's like, all right, I'm ready to do this. We're just gonna keep going. And there was everything in my heart was telling me, don't do it, don't do it. Or not my heart. It was my brain, the ego mind. And I didn't expect to be having such a profound conversation with you either. Like, this is amazing. So how wonderful that we're doing this, right? Like, and I feel so much like our paths are so synchronized in a lot of ways that like we're kind of it's I think that we relate a lot to each other, and that's been really cool.
Yeah, and really coming full circle, and because the disappointment in the last program that we were in, and then not being able to fully do what we set out to do, and then now being able to do it together in a different atmosphere, and becoming authors in the same year together, and all of that. Yeah, so much fun. So I do see it coming full circle, I guess I should say. And that's cool. It's healing too, because there was so much with trying so hard and wanting something so much and being promised certain things, and then to have that fall flat, to now having so much more, I feel like, and moving forward together and really supporting each other, and allowing our paths to cross when they align. So it's been cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it's really neat being a part of that group and seeing all the other women and like all the things that they're doing and the businesses that they have been bringing to, that they're sharing, sort of their part too is pretty amazing. Sorry, my thing is dropping. It's drooping.
Oh, that's okay. I'm seeing weird geometric shapes, so it's okay.
Just let it happen.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Download every day.
Yeah, no, I feel a huge frequency shift, and maybe it's because I'm at the tail end of it, and you and I have had some really cool frequency shifts together anyway. So it's just enhancing that. So
Glad
would
to
you
be
like
part of it.
Yes, I'm so glad you're part of it too. Would you like to share some about your chapter, or some of the things that
Sure.
the writing process?
Yeah, well, in writing my chapter, I've been writing a book for quite a while. It started, I got the title about 4 years ago, and then kind of started messing around with just flow writing. And then through that business program, we did some writing on the book, and I was able to get out a lot of it there. And I didn't have that confidence to be able to step forward into actually going publishing. I had no idea what that process looked like. It was really overwhelming. And then we were supposed to get some of that knowledge, and then that was one of those things that kind of fell flat for me. And so I was like, maybe this just isn't the right time, and then I started making kind of excuses as to why I wasn't going to do the book. And then when the call came for Jaguar Medicine, which was shared by you, which was wonderful, thank you. And I saw it was really the image on the cover that was really activating, and I instantly was like, yes, it was absolutely 100% yes. And I had I was telling you, but I'll tell everyone else, I had a big picture of a jaguar that was in my room. And when I moved to Hawaii 18 months ago, we moved here with just suitcases. So we actually sold the house, gave everything away, and didn't bring any of our stuff with us. And so in the process, I had stored a couple of pictures that I wasn't really willing to get rid of. And one of them was a big jaguar that was in my bedroom. And when I went back, I was back in Washington visiting my mother and taking care of some of my business there. And I saw it, and it was right before you texted me about Jaguar Medicine. I noticed it, and it was like looking at me. It's like a jaguar that's sort of like this, like in the picture, like staring like right into you. And I was like, whoa, like, okay, like, hi, honey, I remember you, like, you're not going anywhere. Don't worry, I'll take you home. and and then you messaged me, and I was like, wow, this needs to happen. And anyway, so then I signed up. It was a very, very strong push to write my chapter as quickly as possible. I started writing, and I just kept hitting block after block. I was like, no, this is not right. I was watching all of the wonderful videos of all of the other women, and I was comparing myself and saying, no, I don't belong here. I'm not a shaman, which I kind of am in a lot of ways. I just haven't, it's not that level of this is what I label as, but I've done the shamanic journey before I even knew what it was. You know what I mean? Like, there was just so much of that in me, and yet I looked at myself as not worthy, and I was like, I can't do this. It's just not. And so literally I rewrote and I rewrote, and I tried to piece together this chapter about spirituality and like la la la, and like and it wasn't me. That's not me. And that there are many other people out there that have that wonderful, beautiful glow of like, angelic presence. And I was like, no, like I'm like more of like a hit you in the face. Like I wanna shift you, and I wanna make you spin around and go, wait a second, what's that? Like, let's hold on a second. Let's think about this for a minute. And when I finally released the need to people please, like we were talking about, which I've been working on for, it seems like ever, but it still crept back up, right? You still see little bits of your, oh yeah, hi Shadow, like how's it going? We're still together. I got you. And anyway, so I saw that I had to face that, and then I threw all of that out. I kept it in a different file, but I restarted my whole chapter 2 days before it was due. And I just sat down and I was like, this is it. Like, I'm done trying to figure out what other people want and what I should be as a spiritual teacher. And, what kind of woman I am, and am I a woman enough, or am I strong enough, or whatever, all these questions. And I just freaking did it. And the first night I wrote it all, and then I messaged Shannon. I was like, can I have one more day to just edit it? And I was able to get another day so that I could, just make sure that the flow was in and that I had some good wording. But I mean, I have part of my chapter. So my chapter is on unconditional love for the self and the other self, and what that really means. It's not just loving someone. It's like really thoroughly accepting every single thing about everyone else in the entire world. Everyone. Like, not judging in a way that is labeling them as anything besides a being of perfection and light. And like, it hits me when I even say that, because, and yet my chapter is lighthearted. It's it was written in just like a fun sort of state. I let go of all of the need to be, something that I wasn't, and it was wonderful and beautiful. And I wrote, I did write a shamanic journey towards the end of it that I even messaged you about, because I was like, I don't know if I should put this in there. I need somebody to tell me it's okay. But my little piece of the shamanic journey was journeying into a Jaguar car and becoming it. And I love cars. I have always, since I was young, that has been it's just one of those things, you have those things that you really love. And I'm very, like, I love how they work. I love the beauty and the craftsmanship that goes into building these beautiful, fast cars. And I love driving them. So that's just something that I really enjoy. And so when we were talking about this Jaguar Medicine, my mom's favorite car when she was younger was a Jaguar. She always wanted a Jaguar. And I was like, I just sat down and started writing about what it would feel like to get into that car and be it. It was just amazing. So anyway, that's kind of the whole story. And I stuck with it. I put it all together, and I'm really proud of it. I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to be supported enough that I felt like I could be authentic.
Mm, that is so key. The
Yeah.
support and Shannon and the Kiva Publishing. Shannon's great at the creation
Yes.
circles and bringing in a sisterhood. Really is what I felt
Hmm.
through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, what an awesome story. Just how everything kind of pieced together for you, and you had little signs here and there, and then it just
Hmm.
kind of all came together, and then being okay taking Jaguar Medicine, the animal, and turning it into a car and saying, you know what?
Yeah.
That's what's coming through, and I trust it, and I just got to go with it. And
Yeah.
in the last 2 days of when your chapter is due, I mean, that is ultimate trust, really, knowing that there was something else that wanted to come through and allowing it to come through, even if it's at the 11th hour, and trusting that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that other stuff was sort of that, I've heard people say this a lot in flow writing or writing books or anything like that, that you really have to get out the gunk first. So I kind of feel like that was all necessary and just part of the process was like, okay, I'm going to write and write and write a bunch of stuff that it doesn't really resonate so that I can really feel like what it feels like, sorry,
Mhm.
to write what does resonate. Like it's a completely different feeling and how to get into that state. I learned a lot of that too, of how to do that. And I felt like the car thing was really, as I was doing it, I'm like, man, people are going to start manifesting Jaguars all over the place because they're going to be like, ooh, this is what, okay, because you're focusing for so long. And so that was really a cool part that helped me be okay with it going out there. I'm like, shoot, if even one person does, that's amazing. So
That's true.
yeah.
That's a cool way to think about it. Yeah. I would take a blue Jaguar or
Yeah, read my chapter, girl. Get
yeah.
that Jaguar. The company's gonna call me like, Kiva Publishing. We have all these people getting Jaguars. I don't know what's happening, but thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And the thing that you doubted brought people some amazing cars,
Right, right.
possibly. So, yeah, let's call that in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, you're an author this year, but you're also doing some songwriting.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. So I'm having so much fun with that. I'm a part of the Songwriting Academy. It's based in the UK.
Mhm.
And we collaborate in groups. And I have been writing songs since I was a teenager. I was performing since I was a really little girl. I performed with Dolly Parton actually when I was a kid in
Cool.
Tennessee. And I performed Ella Fitzgerald. That was my senior project in high school, was on jazz music and how, women in jazz, especially Ella Fitzgerald, changed music for women and opened it up for them to express in the way that they felt they wanted to instead of how they were supposed to and that sort of thing. Um, and anyway, so it's really been in me my whole life and something that was just ingrained. And when I moved here, a big part of that step was I am going to retouch on my passions that I've had since I was a child. And I've always worked with animals. That was a big passion. I got to experience that with my grooming shop, and I that was wonderful. And I still love animals like crazy, but the singing in my voice was a huge part of it. So I have so many lyrics. It's crazy that just over the years I would write and nothing would come of it because I knew not what to do. I didn't know what to do with them. So they just like sat there, you know, and accumulated, but I kept them. And so anyway, through that sort of rediscovering myself and like my real, like what I really want, um, I started to just play around with this, and I started taking singing lessons and piano lessons. And through that, probably the, you know, Google algorithm figured out that that's what I was doing, was like, hey, you should join this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And of course, the program was called the 555. So
Numbers.
yeah, yep. So I was like, okay, we're gonna give this a shot, and I'm gonna see how it goes. And it's been really incredible. We actually just finished our first song, which is it's called New Life. And I was, you know, I was the lyricist. We have a performer in Germany she's a professional singer, been performing for like 20 some years, and then a producer. And the three of us came together, and I brought the lyrics, and then we played with the lyrics together, and it was incredible. And it was all about stepping off of the edge of the cliff, but instead of falling, flying. There's no landing. It's just, you know, it's trusting in the wind to carry you. And so anyway, it really was like a song that I felt really connected to, because that was kind of what I felt like I've been doing for the past, you know, since we moved here. Like, okay.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, so yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. I'm really excited about it. We still have, you know, it's in production right now, so there's still some work to do. And then we've been playing around with ideas on who we're going to pitch it to. So that song is actually going to be going to a few different artists. And one of them that we were talking about is Cher. So I'm really excited.
That is so exciting. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. Yeah, so, and there's a few others. So nothing is set in stone by any means, and I'm letting go, right? Infinite patience is all done. And I'm really enjoying the process. So
I love
more
all
to
that.
come. Yeah, yeah.
So many exciting things. And as you were just talking about your song, um, I've heard the phrase like grow wings. When you leap, you can grow wings and fly. And one of the messages that I've received in the last year or two is that we've forgotten how to fly and that we can fly.
Yeah.
And so I return to that every once in a while. Actually, someone gave me that message. It was in a shamanic experience, and we were supposed to give each other messages. And my message was, "You've forgotten how to fly. So remember that you have wings and you can just soar." So I love how you described your song, and it just really hit my heart for multiple different reasons. And I can't wait to hear it on the radio one day.
Yes, yes. Actually, there is one line that is spread my wings is in that line. So yeah, it is sort of that same realization. So I think you probably tapped into that a little bit.
Mm.
That's really beautiful. And I mean, I feel like it is sort of like a muscle that you forget, you know? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. That's really beautiful. And I never thought about it that way, but um that's expansion right there. Yeah.
Definitely. Yes, yes. So tell us more about Stargazer Strategies.
So, well, I several years ago in my own business, it was kind of really not even in my business, it was in my whole life, right? I just kind of realized that things were not aligned with really who I really am. Like it was all sort of, it was fine, you know, I had sort of dug myself out of a lot of lower issues, I guess. Like my life had gotten to a point where I went from, I mean, at one point I was pregnant and homeless with a baby, like that. I had come up from that, right? You're like, okay, I appreciate that. That was great. Now I'm here and I should be really satisfied. And I just felt that divine discontent in me that was, you know, calling me out, saying, no, 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 no. This isn't your life. This is like sort of you've been creating this on default, you know? and out of business structures that I had learned from other people around me that were also operating on default, and every management job that I had and everything like that. And anyway, so I had learned these structures on how to have my business. And I realized that as I was going through this discontent in my life and my business, and I was like, none of this is aligned. I started to align myself first, and my business started to like fall apart. And I was like, and not just my business, my life too. It all just kind of was crumbling, right? Because some things have to break apart. And it depends on where you're at, whether it does have to break apart. But mine did. My whole reality had to. It just needed to, and that's okay. And as I was putting it back together, I realized that I was gaining experience that I would later use to create Stargazer Strategies now. And I started to see, this is kind of hard to describe, but like you were saying, like seeing that kind of energy, and I started to sort of see like the grids of the sort of the dimensional reality that we see, and then the dimensional reality that we don't see. I started to see both and how they interact with each other, and it changed everything. Like I was like, okay, so this is, and I like was looking at it from like a different perspective and could see the things that like couldn't mesh. Like this reality can't come into this reality until all of it fits together. So how does that happen? Like, and I mean like vibrationally. So I'm like super obsessed with quantum physics and all of that. And so like, it's kind of hard to describe it. I'm learning how to do that so that because it sometimes is unfair, because it's like figuring out how to say it right so that it makes sense. And to me too, you know what I mean? Like I can think it, but can I actually verbalize it? Because it's not really linear. And anyway, so that really played a big role into learning how to do that for other people. I started doing it for other people after I realized that was happening in my life. I was like, okay, these things have to fall away. I have to let go of them. And of course, here I am, sort of in 1 foot here, 1 foot here. And then I'm like, but I want to take this with me, but it keeps like popping. It keeps like, I'm pulling it up, but it's like a magnet. It's like, no, that's not coming along, And yet, and when that happened, what happened to me was I was popping back and forth. I was bouncing back and forth between this reality and this one, and blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
ping
for
ponging
me it
back and
does.
forth.
I totally
Yeah,
understand wanting to take something with me, and it's like, nope, that is not going with you.
it can't go with you. And what sucks is that you'll try to take it with you in different ways. Oh, well, it can't come with me that way. Okay, well, how about if we do this? And then it's like, oh, now it's like 10 times worse because you've resonated here for so long that now it really doesn't fit. And now it's an explosion instead of just being like, oh, okay, we're just going to slowly let it go. And so, yeah, through that process of realizing all of that, that's really how Stargazer Strategies was born. And it was by accident in the beginning when I started working. I got a job here, and just to get out of the house, like, to be honest, I was like, I need to get myself some socializing. Like I didn't know anybody. We didn't have any friends here yet. We were new in the area. COVID was happening, so nobody was talking to each other. And so I went and got a job, and I was doing Reiki on the business entity, like not on the people, but on the actual business. And I could see like sort of where, you think about feng shui, like your flow through a house or through a business or whatever, like how the energy flows through. And I'm sure that's how feng shui was developed. Like somebody could see it, like you could see how those things go. And it's not linear, like this is where you walk. It's like I don't really know how to describe it. I'm sorry. That's something that I'm working on still. But anyway, so as I was doing that, I was watching, and I was standing back, just watching what was happening. And everything started changing in the business and becoming more aligned. And it was so exciting. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, right? Like I'm helping. This is wonderful. But I was doing Reiki on the actual grounds, on the energy flow. And so that developed, that was the very first beginning. And then I was working with businesses we talked about it. This is what we're going to do, and started developing the 5D business blueprint. And through developing that, I also developed the 5D personal blueprint, because it's like the same concept of here's your life and what you're experiencing in different aspects of your life, right? So your life is several aspects. Your business is really just one, but your business is an entity on its own. There's employees usually, or there's people that you're talking to, or like even for you guys, like you don't have them. Do you have employees, Amber?
Mm-mm.
So you don't have employees, but you have me, and you have all of the people that are in the podcast, and you have everybody that's involved in these working with you. And so in a way, their alignment matters to you too, and their influence on you, how they see you, how your clients see you. It's all energy. We're all looking at you, right? So like, I think that's why some of us are really terrified of being seen. And on a deeper level, we know that as other people view us, if we're not super solid, that can actually influence us into being more like they view us, instead of this is how I am.
Mm.
And I mean, I've noticed that actually around people. Like, I know this is going to be a little tangent, but I have to tell this story because you guys have got to resonate with this. I cannot be the only one, but I'm like, there's this one person, and every single time I'm around this person, I just get really stupid. Like, I just say the stupidest stuff, and I'm like, what? Why did I just say that? And now I know. Like, oh, that was not about me. That was about that person. Every time that they were in the they were so strongly, their view of me was so strongly in a way that I was acting as they perceived me. And that was before I was able to stay in my own power and gain my empowerment. But that's, to me, that's what was happening. I was like, oh, all right, cool. That's what that was like.
Mm-hmm.
So now when stuff like that happens, or when I'm in a situation when something like that happens and it comes up, I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't always have to be mine,
Mm.
you know. Anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of how the Stargazer Strategies was born, because of a tarot card that is called Stargazer. And it was up through almost all of every book that I've written. It's been something that has randomly come up in my tarot deck. And I was like, it just hit me. That's the name of the business. That this is going to be something that really helps other leaders align to their higher blueprint, because every business is a part of that higher frequency grid, and it's finding that grid. And the great thing about it is it's always expanding, so there's never an end to where that grid can actually take you. So I mean, that's job security, baby. Like, let's just say that, right? Like, I will help you get there, and then I'll help you stay there, and then eventually you're going to say, bye, Amber, I don't need you anymore, and I'm just going to celebrate it like crazy, because it's all beautiful.
We're gonna be driving our Jaguars as we
Yeah,
ride
exactly.
off.
Yeah.
No, I love so much of what you just said. First of all, now I know why I was seeing geometric shapes on your face while
Oh,
your 5D business strategy was just jumping through at me.
probably.
No, it
Yeah.
was so interesting because it was like had kind of like a saw blade is what I was seeing. I mean, it didn't
Mhm.
look like a saw, but and it was spinning, and there was like three, the same shape but like kind of 3D, like
Mm.
three of them spinning, and there were different colors, and it started out
Mhm.
really small, like in your eye, and I'm not saying it was you, but and then it just kind of spread out, and then it went out to one side, and then eventually, like, it was across the room, and eventually it faded. But it was so interesting. I really just wanted to fall into it. So like, I can feel that energy from you, and this 5D that you're talking about, and how your energy just up levels people. And like, even when you told me that being a little sick and maybe having some throat issues could be me just feeling like I'm not ready for what I'm stepping into, I took that to heart. I remember telling Jeremiah, like, Amber said this to me and it resonates with me, and I want to up level above that and not let it hold me back. And it was just a sentence that you said. So I totally see that in your energy and just who you are, your authenticity, and that you're going to take it to the business level for people is going to be amazing. Like, I'm so excited to see where you go with this. And then on top of that, your story about how when you get around some people and you feel stupid, or you feel like you get stupid, or not that you do, but oh my gosh, that just happened to me this year. I was on a trip. I was actually out of the country and I was by myself. Well, I was visiting a friend, but I was traveling alone, and I met these other people, and we would hang out with these people every so often. And every time we hung out with these people, I would become a space cadet and I would leave my wallet and my purse. Like, in another country, just leave it on a chair and walk away, and then 10 minutes later be like, oh my gosh, my purse. Or we'd drive away from somewhere and I would leave my money some crazy place, and I'm like, this never happens to me. And then I became self-conscious of it, like, oh my gosh, they must think I like, how does this girl make it through the day, and all of these things. And I kind of beat myself up for feeling like it wasn't my normal self, but then I was falling into this energy that didn't feel authentic. But then I knew that's how people were viewing me. It was an odd experience that I still, until now, probably didn't fully understand.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how other people influence you, and that's where that 5D business, like the blueprint, comes in, is that you're not just aligning your consciousness to this higher version. The higher version is the greatest good for all that are involved. It's not just you and what you want, it's what your clients want, it's what your employees want, it's what the people that work with you want. It's really the collective energy of what everyone wants out of this beautiful star of a business that you have, and actually aligning to that on that level. And it releases, like, I'm not even kidding. And I want to tell this story real quick. But I don't want to get into too many details, but I had in my business, I had a situation where I had a lot of negativity. And of course, if anything is happening around you, who do you need to look at?
Mm.
And of course, right, like, I need to look at me, like, and that's part of being a business owner too. Like, if you do have employees and something is going on, it's always your fault. Like, that's the hardest thing. It's the thankless job, and everything is your fault. And so you really do have to be empowered to do business. So way to go, business owners. Like, it's not always the easiest thing. But it's very, very needed. It's very needed to have business owners that are ready to step into that higher frequency, because I think that influences everything too, from like our children to our schools to, I mean, to literally everything. Business, as we spread that out, will affect all of those things. Anyway, kind of a tangent, but yeah, see, I just got off my directive. What was I saying?
Yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll just come back. You were
Maybe it'll just
sharing.
come back. Oh, the blueprint, just
Oh
the
yeah.
getting attaching to that in that way, because the influence of other people. There it is. Thanks, guys. But the influence of the other people, or not even just other people, but maybe your industry. Like like maybe there's like in my old industry, the pet grooming. So I have a pet grooming shop in Washington, and there was there's a view of not having enough groomers. There's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. And so of course, what do we experience as a collective? We experience that, and to step above that and say, actually, there's plenty. Does that actually exist? Yes. It both realities simultaneously exist. So for me, that was my experience, but I guarantee you that not every other grooming shop in the world is going, there's not enough groomers. Like, no, that's just my perception. And so I was having a hard time staffing. So to get back to my original point, sorry for the trail off, but is to have that, like, to let that stuff go, and you realize you hit this wall and there's a lot of negativity within your business, or maybe there's a negativity within your staff, or you're dealing with negative clients or whatever it is that's really keeping you from moving forward, or you feel like it's keeping you from moving forward. When you do start to align to that higher frequency, part of what we do in our sessions is clear out and kind of block the influence from other people and their perception of your business. You're including previous employees. You know, you don't there's going to be, no matter what, if you're in business and you have employees, there will be some disgruntled employees, and we love them all anyway. And we realize that they are part of us, right? And so those employees still, though, have their choice of what they will perceive, and they can view your business and influence it if you don't have it strong enough. If you haven't created an auric field basically around your business, or you don't know how to do that, then your business will be affected by whoever looks at it. You know, if I look at your business and I'm like, I don't really like the colors, or I don't really like this, or I don't really like that, well, you don't know that that actually affects you until you have worked with those grids and you go, okay, I'm feeling this. It doesn't matter who it's from, but we're gonna, sort of solidify our, what comes in, what kind of influences we'll accept. Because yeah, we definitely want the newspaper to call us and ask us for an interview. Heck yeah, we want that. You don't want to block everything out either. So anyway, that was a really, really long, trailed off explanation for all of that. But yes, I felt the need to share that because I experienced it myself. And literally, I want to say this too, the next day after I did my business blueprint on my own business, after I lost a bunch, I had a lot of negativity in there. Employees were really upset, walking out, whatever. The very next day, I had somebody walk in and I hired her. And then the next day, another person, and these people came to me. I didn't put out an ad. There was nothing like that. They just came to me, and they're the most high vibrate. They're so wonderful. And it was just from me not only forgiving, but releasing and allowing all of it to happen. And then clearing everything out and saying, okay, I'm actually ready now to release all of that lower energy and let it mesh together. And then it just did.
Yes. The term that I heard as you were speaking, like the memory that I have, is a coach that used to say, business is a spiritual practice. And that has been true for me. I have had to practice my spirituality and really allow things, or not allow things even, and really find my way in business. And then that practice has helped me in other areas of my life also.
Yeah, it's hard too when, you care about everyone that you work with, right? These, your clients, your employees, whoever it is that you're working with, the people that you're on podcasts with, like, it's difficult sometimes to set boundaries and say, this isn't for me. And I don't appreciate the way that I'm being treated, or the way that my clients are being treated, or depending on what your situation is, right? It could be anything. Maybe you're a CEO of a, multi-level company, and you don't appreciate the way that your managers are treating but you love them. You don't want to hurt people either. So it's like this, how do you do that? How do you, set those boundaries and love them at the same time? And that's really where the work is. That's, allowing people to have whatever experience they want to have, but not influence you with their experience.
That's a powerful statement right there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Well, it has been so lovely having you on. I'm sorry I was a bit out of it in the beginning,
It's
but
okay.
I still enjoyed it and really loved hearing your story and where you're headed and all the fabulous things that are going on in your life. And I just really thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you. It's been really wonderful. This has been really fun. Very easy.
Oh,
I
good.
was a little nervous beforehand. Um, I was telling Amber I put on something a little bit more professional instead of a tank top because it's like almost 80 degrees outside here. So if I'm a little sweaty, that's why it was my wardrobe choice was not the greatest, but
You look
I'm
great, though.
thanks, so do you. You're beautiful. This has been
Oh,
really
that's
fun.
funny.
So
I
thank
love that you
you.
put a sweater on in Hawaii to be on here. I love that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like wintertime everywhere else, so and it's really thin. It's like it's one of those like really paper thin sweaters, so it's not really super hot. It's just with
Not a
that,
tank
and
top.
it's not a tank top. Yeah, like I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna go put a tank top on.
I love it.
But
Uh,
anyway, yeah, let's do this again. This is wonderful. I'll probably do something and have you on some
hmm.
sort of something similar because this is really wonderful and the combined energy of everyone I'm sure has been really great for the people watching and for each other. I mean, like I was watching the videos of all of the other women and nice job, ladies. It's been great.
It has been so much fun. I don't know, the energy just builds and it's nourishing me. Like normally doing so many interviews in one day would have depleted me, but I was just like so excited last night. My husband came home and I'm like, I just did like 5 podcasts. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm great. I'm fabulous." He expected me to be like on the couch like, "Don't talk to me." But it was the
Yeah.
opposite. So yeah, the energy and all the co-creation here is really feeding whatever is
Yeah.
going on in the collective and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, it's been good to be on too.
Good, good. Well, I will leave our viewers with a quote that I have said for this whole series. And that quote is that you hold the courage within, just allow it to emerge moment by moment until you embody your most courageous self. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.